Do I have it?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Wednesday, the 8th day of May in the year 2013. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. My trusty phone is telling me it's 6:10 p.m. I've taken the care to silence it, as I hope all of you will. Silence your devices. At 6:10 p.m., we have Councilman Sotolano.
Present.
Councilman Donnelly.
Present.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Here.
Councilman Goyhan.
Absent for the night, Robert.
Councilman Fulop.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Lavaro.
Absent so far.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Here.
Council President.
Yeah.
Would everyone kindly rise to observe a moment of silence?
Robert, Kwame Daughtry, and Kevin Kelly.
Derek Cottle.
Very much, everyone. Remain standing for a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Rolando's in the house, Robert.
Okay, when he's in the room, okay, he's
In the house.
in the room. We have Councilman Lavaro present
Yep.
at 6:12. So that we have all aboard that's coming aboard. Councilman Goyhan will be absent this evening.
Right.
Okay. What I'd like first, council members, before we do anything special or move to anything, is to get a motion to add 10Z4 through 10Z6 to the agenda.
I'll make that motion, Robert.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Donnelly. That's what I thought. On the motion, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Goyhan is
Absent,
absent.
Robert.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries 8-0. We have any special intentions before?
Yes, Robert. I believe Councilwoman Nydia Lopez has something.
Okay, let's make this a compound motion. If Councilwoman Richardson would like to do something, I'd like to.
Right.
Okay, we'll make it a compound motion. What is your desire, Councilwoman Lopez?
Just to read 10Z6.
Okay. What is last shall be first. Defer to 10Z6. And what would you like to defer to, Councilwoman?
Scholarship.
Yes, I saw that somewhere.
Find it on the
We'll help you.
10V.
It is 10V.
V as in Victor.
as in
10V.
10V.
V as in Victor. I'm looking at thank you. 10 V as in Victor.
Okay, so we have a motion by Council President Brennan,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Sotolano. And this is to defer first to 10Z6, then to 10V. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Councilman Goyhan?
Absent, Robert.
I'll learn that in a few moments. Councilman Fulop? Councilman Fulop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson? Council President?
Aye.
Okay, 10Z6. Councilwoman Lopez, would you be kind enough to read the title of that into the record, please?
Robert, can you, from the medical center, can you come up front, please? Resolution designating the week of May 19 to 25th, 2013 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas Jersey City Medical Center Emergency Medical Service is a vital public service, and whereas Jersey City Medical Center has been providing emergency medical services to the city of Jersey City for 130 years. Whereas the members of the Jersey City Medical Center emergency medical centers are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience a sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. Whereas the members of the Jersey City Medical Center Emergency Medical Service engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City, in recognition of this event, does hereby designate the week of May 19th to the 25th, 2013, as Emergency Medical Service Week, with the theme EMS, One Mission, One Team. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let me just take it from the top, council members. On Resolution 10Z6, Councilman Sotolano.
Emergency medical services is a unique service. It's something that you hope you never need, but you're grateful when you do need it, that the response is so great. I'm happy to vote aye.
Thank you.
Councilman Donnelly.
To reiterate what Councilman Mike Solano said is, you hope you never need it. Unfortunately, over the past couple of years, I've taken a couple of rides with the EMS involuntarily, but they're always professional. They've always treated me well. I've always got excellent care. And so I'm very appreciative on a very personal level for the EMS. They have, it's one of the reasons why I'm actually starting to feel better, because they've taken good care of me every time I've been there. So thank you so much. You have excellent professional EMTs and paramedics in that service, and I'm very thankful. I vote aye.
Councilwoman, you'll have to vote from that position. Get in front of
Absolutely.
the microphone.
I have gone to the medical center and I have toured the facilities, and it's really worth going there to see the excellent job that they do. It is an honor to vote aye, Robert.
Thank you.
Councilman Fulop.
Hi, congratulations. It is obviously very fitting. You guys do terrific work. And, thank you, Nydia. I vote aye.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I would have to say also that I've experienced your service in action. My husband had a stroke in January, and you guys saved my life because I didn't know what I was going to do. And also I took a tour there, and while I was on that tour, I actually heard an emergency telephone call come in and the heart pumping, and they talked the young lady through the gentleman's heart attack and until they got there, and I think it was an excellent service, and I vote aye.
Councilman Lavara.
Robert, thank you to all the members of the EMS, and you guys are doing a great job, and you're an invaluable service to the city of Jersey City, so thank you so much, and I vote aye.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Richardson.
It is my honor to honor you and your staff for the hard work that you do for this community.
Council President.
Yes, Robert, I talked with you numerous times in different places about your EMS staff, and I'm amazed at how many guys you have over there and girls, and the job that you guys do, and the awards that you win from year to year, that you're rated the #1 EMS service in the state of New Jersey. So that's an accomplishment. So keep up the good work.
Thank you
I'm
very
just
much.
going to turn the mic on you so you can briefly say thank you and spell your last name for our court reporter. He's Robert Luckritz.
It's Luckritz.
Got it.
On behalf of all the men and women of the EMS department at Jersey City Medical Center, we want to thank you very much for this resolution. We've been providing EMS to the city of Jersey City since 1883, when we responded to 691 calls during the first year that the medical center was open on Baldwin Avenue. We're very proud of what we do here, and we thank you for your support. As part of our 130th anniversary, we'll be coming back to you with a lot of events coming up this year, and we'll be sharing those with you in the coming weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, council members, the next resolution deferred to is 10V, a resolution congratulating Snyder High School student Merzeline Nestor for being chosen to receive the prestigious Gates Millennium Scholarship.
Right there. This is a resolution congratulating Schneider High School student Merzeline Nestor for being chosen to receive the prestigious Gates Millennium Scholarship. Whereas exceptional students continuously seek academic excellence, will inspire our nation to grow intellectually, culturally, and economically stronger, and whereas Merzeline Nestor, a Schneider High School senior, is an exceptional student who has been named a Gates Millennium Scholar. The Gates Millennium Scholars Program is funded by a grant established in 1999 from the Bill and Melissa Gates Foundation and has awarded over $600 million in scholarship money. The goal of GMS is to promote academic excellence and to provide opportunities for minority students with significant financial needs to reach their highest potential. Whereas Merzeline Nestor, as a GMS, is one of 1,000 in the country who will receive full college tuition through her next 4 years of study at an accredited college or university in the United States. More than 54,000 students applied this year, making this year the largest and most competitive group of candidates in the program's history. And whereas Merzeline Nestor may also be eligible for GMS fellowship funding for her education through the master's and doctoral levels if she pursues graduate studies in the field of computer science, education, engineering, library science, mathematics, public health, or science. Now therefore be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City does hereby congratulate Merzeline Nestor for being chosen to receive the prestigious Gates Millennium Scholarship. We applaud your accomplishment and wish you all of the rewards you so greatly deserve.
Thank you.
Okay, permit me, council members, to take the vote on the resolution. Councilman Sotolano?
Wow. I say that really with sincerity. You know, so many times hard work goes unnoticed. In this case, it finally is getting rewarded. I am so happy for you, and continue success in the rest of your life, and just keep that same tenacity that you must have had to get this award. God bless you.
Thank you.
Very impressive. So 1,000 people received the scholarships out of 54,000 people who applied. That means that less than 2% of the people were awarded these scholarships who applied. That is very impressive, and that's just absolutely spectacular. Thank you for being a role model for the other students at Snyder High School, and hopefully they can even in a little bit follow in your footsteps. So congratulations. I happily vote aye. Thank you for being a role model.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Nestor, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. Congratulations. You have a beautiful journey ahead of you. I will be praying for you. God bless. That's wonderful. Congratulations. I vote aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Yeah, just to echo the sentiments of my colleagues, it really is amazing and something to be very proud of, and Jersey City as a whole is proud of you. It's a privilege to vote aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I would like to say the same. I am so very proud of you, and I wish you the most and best success throughout your journey. Learn everything that you can, watch everything, and your mind is like a computer. You may not understand it today, but hold it in your mind and it'll click in a minute and you'll understand it. Good luck and God bless, and I vote aye.
Thank you.
Councilman Lavaro.
Hi, Ms. Nestor.
Hi.
Where are you going to school?
Ramapo College of New Jersey.
Wow, excellent. And what will you be studying there?
Nursing.
Nursing, wonderful. So congratulations. This is extraordinary recognition and award. As everyone's already said, you're a role model to all the students in the city of Jersey City, and we need more students who are pursuing the health sciences and nursing programs and science and math and programs, and you're an amazing role model. Congratulations. I vote aye.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Richardson, you'll vote from your position there, please.
Thank you. It is my honor to present this to you. I know that it was hard work that got you where you are, but you're able to do the work. You've proven that when you're 1,000 out of 5,400 or 5,600. That's phenomenal. You know, those are really high odds. And I can tell you that you're going to be successful because you understand what it means to study hard and to put your best foot forward. You will be, you already are, a role model to those students at Schneider in the city of Jersey City. Schneider gets a bad rap all the time, and I'm so glad that you are from Schneider High School, because what the paper can write is that something good can come out of Schneider High School. There are loads of good things that can come out of Schneider High School. And public education is precious. Thank you. Amen. She said amen. Thank you so much. God bless you, and keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
Council President.
Now I know why you had that beautiful smile on your face. You know? Congratulations, you deserve it. Like Viola said, we hear so many negative things about our public high schools, but you proved them wrong. Hopefully that we will have people follow in your footsteps. Thank you very much. I vote aye.
Okay, we have an 8-0 vote for the approval of the resolution. Ms. Nestor, would you like to say anything?
I would just like to thank all of you guys for voting on this resolution, and I would also thank God himself, because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be able to get this award. And I just wanted to tell you guys that the scholarship was 10 essays, and I had 2 weeks to do it, so therefore I believe that he has given me the strength to do it, and I want to thank him above all, and thank all of you guys for today. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Amen. And listen, I'd like to come and represent that resolution to you at your graduation.
If you want to.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Council members, allow me to read the titles of the first reading ordinances into the record. 3A is City Ordinance 13062, an ordinance supplementing 332 Vehicles in Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping of the Jersey City Code, amending Section 332-24, Parking Prohibited Certain Hours, designating 25 feet in the vicinity of the entrance to Fresenius Medical Center, 2729 Cottage Street, as no parking 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. 3B, City Ordinance 13063, is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, and Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating a reserved parking space at 201 Liberty Avenue, 121 Magnolia Avenue, and 41 Wallace Avenue. 3C is City Ordinance 13064. It's an ordinance approving a 30-year tax exemption for an urban renewal senior low-income affordable housing project to be constructed by Samuel A. Berman Senior Residence Urban Renewal, LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, New Jersey statutes annotated 48:20-1 et seq. And D is City Ordinance 13065. It's an ordinance approving a 30-year tax exemption for an urban renewal mixed-use housing project to be constructed by AHM, which stands for A. Harry Moore Housing Associates 4, LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, New Jersey statutes annotated 48:20-1 et seq. So, council members, we are voting on 3A through 3D. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye for introduction on all.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye for introduction on all.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye from introduction.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye for all, abstain on C. I'm a member there, so abstain on C, aye on the rest.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye for introduction on all.
Councilman Lavaro,
Aye for introduction.
Councilwoman Richardson,
Aye.
Council President,
Aye.
3A, 3B, introduced 8-0, 3C is 7-0-1, Councilman Fulop abstaining, 3D is 8-0, Councilman Gahan absent. Council members, I never saw one in my 24-year career, but now we have two in consecutive months. We have a resolution on the agenda tonight. I believe it's Resolution 10B. It's a resolution authorizing the release of certain deed restrictions imposed by the city against certain property known on the official tax map of the city of Jersey, as Block 1110, 11110, Lot 5, and more commonly known as 251 Newark Avenue. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard with regard to this ordinance? A resolution, excuse me.
Is this the property that has the pool on Newark Avenue? This,
251.
yes, I've passed by it many times. It's the building that was rehabbed. And what restrictions are we removing anyway? This is the property that is on Coles, near Coles, and I believe it's the one that has the pool in the rear.
Okay,
I think it's near Jordan's Lounge, the empty lot.
What's 326 First Street?
251 Newark Avenue we're talking about.
This was sold by public auction first in 1968 and in 1972. And this has been advertised in two newspapers, twice in the Jersey Journal on consecutive weeks as required. And that is a necessity for this type of a deed restriction removal. The city conveyed the property again in 1972, and this is allowing the deed restriction that was put on the property back then to be finally removed. They did a title search, and this deed restriction showed up, and that's what this resolution is doing.
If I can put a little clarity
Sure,
on it.
please.
I think, and maybe Mr. Signorelli could tell me that I'm correct or if I'm wrong. Before we had a zoning ordinance, a lot of ways, the way properties were controlled was in a lot of ways by deed restriction. In fact, the city of Houston still does that. They don't actually have a zoning ordinance in the city of Houston. Everything's done by deed restriction. Now, so this probably, if I'm reading this correctly, this probably predated, the deed restriction probably predated the zoning ordinance, and we never took away the deed restrictions. And so now this property will still have to abide by our zoning ordinance.
Right.
That's my understanding of why this has to happen and why this. And
Right.
why
It
we're doing
even
this.
says it right in the resolution about the 6 whereas pursuant to the statute, a municipality can impose a restriction on use arising from the form of ownership, whereas the present contract purchaser now wishes to purchase the property and obtain planning approvals from the Jersey City Planning Board. The purchase requires the release of the restrictions in order to convey marketable title. This came up in a title search.
Okay.
And
I think it's the property
it's
that.
more formal than you see, Mrs. Bolser, than when someone buys a property at public auction. If it's a lot and they grade it and fence it, then they are allowed to remove the deed restriction. If it's a two-family home and they rehab it and get certificates of occupancy, then a deed restriction is allowed to be removed. But this has been a long-standing deed restriction that it's been so long on the books that it required public advertisement to remove it.
Bob, why is there so many so many different addresses for it?
Thank you.
Because in the first paragraph, it's more commonly known by the street address.
Well, it may be a corner property. It may be a corner property.
Then you go down the next one.
It may be a corner property, Councilwoman.
342. That's a 342, and then
Well,
349. No, that's
they were
that's a block.
consolidated.
That's a block. Okay.
Right it says whereas property 1 and 2 were consolidated
Okay.
with block 34913,
Okay.
and they're now known as the one property of 251 Newark Avenue. That was a consolidation.
The restrictions are listed below that were on the property that we're removing now, I believe.
Come on, Mr. Berg. On the resolution, please.
Jason Berg. What is on this particular property? Is there a building that's 5-story? What is on the property now?
I don't know what kind of a structure is on the property now, but not changing any use. Resolution does nothing to change the use or the density of the property.
Now this was sold at public auction, you said?
Excuse me?
This was sold at public auction?
No.
So the owner of the...
Oh, yes, back in 1972.
Wow, that's many. That's a lot of years that it has been.
Actually, 2 properties were sold. One on March 5th, 1968, the other May 2nd, 1972. And these showed up on the title search, and the statute required, and we published this resolution twice, once last Wednesday, the 1st, and the prior Wednesday, the last Wednesday in April. So we're to that point right now.
So with the change,
the deed restriction.
So has in those many years, those 40-something years, was that building being used or?
Well, it was being used, but it had a deed restriction placed upon it. So the person who owned it could not do anything, could not sell it or do anything with it because the deed restriction was on there.
Okay, so this is letting the owner have more free reign and an opportunity to sell.
Marketable title.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. We have a second?
Yep. Yes, second.
Thank you. I'll take the yep as a second. Councilman Sotolano to close the public hearing.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
Okay. That being done, we can go on to second reading ordinances, council members, and we have a dozen. Yep. A whole dozen. Item 4A, City Ordinance 13049 is an ordinance dedicating that the intersection of Fifth Street and Manila Avenue, also be known as Edgar Sanchez Sr. Way. This is a public hearing on the subject ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by Council President Brennan. Close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Councilman Fulop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson?
Aye.
Council President?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed 8-0. For the final adoption of City Ordinance 13049, item 4A, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
We have a 8-0 vote for the final adoption. Councilman Gahan absent. Here on after tonight, 8-0 will mean Councilman Gahan absent, so I don't wear it out. 4B, City Ordinance 13051 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City amending the St. Francis Hospital redevelopment plan, change the name to Hamilton Square redevelopment plan into revised development standards. Public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Jason Berg, 7A, 7C, Ward A. Question, why the name change?
Robert,
Because the hospital no longer exists.
So it's,
wish Mr. Berg would just say his name and that's it.
Yes, yeah, we've got it, Jason.
This is not a political arena.
well, there's nothing, is there anything, excuse
Can
me?
you address?
Yes, but my question to you, sir,
That's it.
is it in
No
the,
longer a St. Francis hospital.
right,
Therefore, the developer and the planning board have decided to remove the name from the St. Francis Hospital redevelopment plan so as not to confuse newer residents to the city. It's a name change.
all right. To point out, Mr. Brennan, is there an ordinance or conduct saying I can't speak on who I am at any time at this meeting?
All you're required to do is give your name and address.
As I'm required, but I can give more. Is there any restriction in me giving
Come
more?
up, you know what? When you come up during your 5 minutes, you can say Jason Berg for.
Well, no, they get, yes.
When you're coming up for the ordinances, we'd ask you to stay to the ordinances. During your 5 minutes, you have your
Yeah,
First
but-
Amendment rights are unabridged. Okay?
Yeah, but I'm still asking the question, is it of policy and procedure of this body? No,
That is not your name. You're giving your position on the ballot. That is not
right.
your name.
We advertise.
State your name when you come up to speak.
Yeah.
When you come up during your 5 minutes, you can say anything you'd like, sir.
Yes.
Are you not on the
Thank you,
ordinance?
Robert.
Is there
Well,
anything
I'm still,
come up? You can ask that question during your 5 minutes.
Proper protocol.
Right.
On an ordinance, to come up and give your name and address.
And speak
That's
only
it.
about the ordinance.
You know, when you have your 5 minutes, if you want to say Jason Berg, blah, blah, be my guest.
thank you.
Okay.
I have no problems with the renaming of this, but it would be nice if there could be a historical marker on what was there. If you go back and do the research of St. Francis Hospital and many hospitals, they did a lot of things in the past. And I want to give you an example of St. Mary's Hospital. That name was changed. People do not realize that St. Mary's Hospital, that the first African-American priest returning from Europe said his first Mass in the chapel of St. Mary's Hospital. Now, all our history got lost. There were things that were done at St. Francis Hospital that were unique. And when historians, we should have markers there, someplace in the building, because it is part of the city's history. It is part of the downtown history. It's part of the history of the many of the nuns who served that hospital. So in doing this, I have no problem in changing the name of the ordinance. But let's not change the history of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the point.
This is a public hearing on the ordinance.
Good evening. My name is Fletcher Gensmer. I live at 300 2nd Street, and I am okay with the name change to Hamilton Square redevelopment plan, but I am concerned about the last part of this ordinance to revise development standards. That seems like a very vague and open-ended statement. I attended the Hartsook.
So what are you concerned about?
Well, it says revised development standards, but it doesn't list what they want to change. And I'm concerned about, this, I was at the Hartsmith's Cove and also the Hamilton Park Neighborhood Association when Eric Silverman presented the plans for the new building that's going to be built there, and I'm not sure it meets the standards of the community. So I just wanted to raise concerns. Thank you.
Motion.
Is there anyone else wishing to be heard? We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson. I'll give you the second, Councilman Donnelly.
Councilman Phillip.
I already got Donnelly written down. To close the public hearing, Councilman Catalano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Councilman Fulop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
I would just like to ask...
This is to close. This is to close.
Okay. Aye.
Councilman Lavaro?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson, Council President.
Aye.
8-0 to close the public hearing. For final adoption, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Before I vote, I would just like to be clear myself, to change the name and to revise the development standards. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen. That would have to come to be approved before that happens. Is that not correct?
That's reducing the height.
Any change?
Adjusting-
the
it's adjusting the
development
height.
plan would come before the board.
That's exactly, okay. That's what I, then I vote aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman, thank you. Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the adoption of item 4B, City Ordinance 13051. Item 4C, City Ordinance 13052, is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Newark Avenue Downtown Redevelopment Plan. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Council President Brennan. Seconded by Councilman Sotolano. Close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano. Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote to close the public hearing. To consider the final adoption of item 4C, City Ordinance 13052. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President. Adopted by an 8-0 vote is item 4C, City Ordinance 13052. Item 4D is City Ordinance 13053. It's an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Land Development Ordinance pertaining to signage. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lavaro, seconded by Councilman Sotolano. Close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
This public hearing is closed, 8-0. For the final adoption of item 4D, City Ordinance 13053, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President Brennan.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4D, City Ordinance 13053. Item 4E is City Ordinance 13054. It's an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed of conservation easement for the properties located at Broadway and Zip Avenue and identified as Block 1627, Lots 1P, 2A, 3B, 5A, and Block 1639A, lots 1C, 3, 4, 4C, 6A, 7, collectively known as the Hackensack River Waterfront Park Acquisition Property. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lavarro. We'll give the second to Councilman Fulop. To close the public hearing, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman
Aye.
Lopez. Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavarro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote to close the public hearing. For final adoption of City Ordinance 13054, item 4E, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavarro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4E, City Ordinance 13054. On to item 4F. 4F is City Ordinance 13055. It is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed of conservation easement for the property commonly known as Block 1825A, lots A6 and A7, more commonly known as 9195 Duncan Avenue, the Boyd McGinnis Park expansion. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Sotolano, seconded by the Council President. Councilman Sotolano to close.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavarro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President Brennan.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote to close the public hearing, to consider the final adoption of item 4F, City Ordinance 13055. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavarro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
I'd like to say that I'm going to be pressing my colleagues to, so that we can ask the county for open trust funds to purchase the property that's next to Clinton Avenue so that we can expand Mr. What's his name? The former council president, councilman for Ward F.
Cornelius Parker.
Cornelius Parker Park that I've been asking for 20 years. So I vote aye on this, and just remember, colleagues, I'm going to be asking you to help me advocate for the expansion of Cornelius Parker Park. I said aye, Bob.
Thank you, Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4F, City Ordinance 13055. Item 4G, City Ordinance 13056. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 239 Parks and Chapter 242 Peace and Good Order, Article 6 Roller Skates, Inline Skates, Skateboards, and Bicycles of the Jersey City Code. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Yvonne Bolser, could this one be explained? It's kind of broad, this ordinance. You have inline skates, skateboard, and bicycles. It says,
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to bring Doug Greenfield up, and he'll give you in broad strokes what this ordinance does, and then I think you'll be comfortable. Please identify yourself for the record and just give us a little bit of a history and a little bit about this ordinance.
Sure. My name is Doug Greenfeld. I'm with the Mayor's Office. The city's existing bicycle riding ordinances are out of date, so this updates the current ordinances by doing a couple of things. It establishes rules for riding in bike lanes as we are beginning to get bike lanes in Jersey City. It prohibits bicycle riding on sidewalks in business districts for everyone. It prohibits bicycle riding on sidewalks outside of districts except for children age 9 and under. It also establishes some safety requirements pertaining to bicycle equipment, standards for bike seats for children and bells and lights and things like that.
Could you explain the part about skateboards?
Well, that's just the title, that's the section of the code that it's being assigned to. That section 6 of the code involves roller skates, inline skates, skateboards, but the only thing that we're affecting here are bicycles.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
I also, from my point of view, think that we should now require bicycle riders, to have some sort of insurance. I have been a victim of almost being hit by a bicycle many times downtown, walking downtown. And while the bicycle riders can say they are the victims of car, they do scratch cars. And there have been a lot of close calls. We have a lot of people who deliver food as a commercial. Many restaurants use that. And they're all over the place. Some of them obey the traffic signals and some of them do not. But unlike a car which has a tag and says, I can call the cops and say this guy's run through the red light, there is no tag on the bicycles. So you don't know. If we're going to encourage more people to use bicycles, we have to start holding them accountable as a vehicle in the street. Thank you.
Jason Berg. With the peace and good order, what will it be working with? The biggest problem here in Jersey City and other cities is bicycles riding on the sidewalk. And that was a problem many years ago, and this council of a different group tried to do something with the police, and the police said there was no way to enforce it. But a bicycle is a vehicle, should be in the street regardless of what the people think. And it really angers me when I almost get run over walking on the sidewalk. And my response is I'd like to be able to take a stick and put it in their front spokes and see them fly.
That'll help you out. What's your position on that?
Well, again, if you want to get hurt, Robert, we have seniors walking, they can't even walk the street. It's enforcement. That's my feeling. Would I do it? No, because I'm a nonviolent person.
Okay.
But what will this be addressing? Bicycles only?
This is addressing bicycles, sir.
And what is the purpose of that?
If you were listening when Mr. Greenfeld got up,
I'm
it's
sorry.
to tighten up regulations the city has in the city as it relates to bicycles, where they can be ridden. Only minor children can ride. We don't want a kid with training wheels riding in the street.
Of course. Let's
Broomstick away from the little guy with the training.
No, I'm just looking at the 27-inch bicycles driving down and doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by Councilman Donnelly, was it? To close the public hearing, Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Councilman Goyhan is absent. Councilman Fulop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Lavarro?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson, Council President.
Aye.
Vote is to close is 8-0. For final adoption, Councilman Sotolano.
This is an ordinance that's no doubt overdue, as more bicycle riders are riding in the city, especially in Jersey City. But as time goes on, I think we're going to have to, really strengthen and stiffen up enforcement. I vote aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
I agree with Councilman Sotolano, and I hope that Mr. Berg keeps his broomstick away from bicyclists, and I vote aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fuller.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavara.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
I agree with my colleagues that eventually we're going to have to tighten this up. I vote aye.
Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4G, City Ordinance 13056. On to item 4H, City Ordinance 13057. This is an ordinance approving a 12-year tax exemption for market-rate mixed-use rental project to be constructed by Chosen Condominiums Urban Renewal, LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, New Jersey statutes annotated 40A:20-1 et sec. This is a public hearing on this subject ordinance. Balser?
Yes. First of all, where is this property at?
This is the AC Chevrolet property on Kennedy Boulevard that goes and continues down to Skillman Avenue, which is right off St. Paul's Avenue.
Okay.
Chevy property.
Okay. Well, I guess I should be.
New neighborhood.
I guess I should be thrilled that it's not 30 years compared to the ones over here. Since this is similar to I'm not going to speak on both. Doesn't make sense. Just want you to know that I think a 5-year abatement is fine. 12 years. My county taxes just went up. This property, it will be exempt from the 5%, I believe. Will it be? It will not be present.
It pays the 5% for the county.
Paid the 5. Well, that's great, but it will not have an increase like we will have through the years. Is fixed. So it's kind of.
1 to 6 is 10%. 7 to 12 is 12%. So it does have an increase.
It has an increase. I still think 12 years. It's better than people down the road facing reval, because when people do face reval and their properties are going to be tripled and doubling, what do they receive? So you have two standards. I'm happy and thrilled. This is not, like I said, 30 years. But I also want to bring up one thing too, which I just forgot until a neighbor reminded me. We're talking about developing areas that is not downtown. Well, when downtown in the 80s was like the rest of the city, I forgot to mention that the Dixon Pencil Company never got an abatement, nor Society Hill never got an abatement. They had the 5-year. They didn't have the 30-year abatement. I'm talking about the abatements like this. I don't consider 5 years. I never argue. I never come up here for 5 years because that's reasonable. Anything past that, to me, is not reasonable. So I think you're putting the city in 2 tiers. One who get a tax bill, one who doesn't. But since we all vote, then that should not be. Because most of us vote based upon our pocketbook. And if they're not getting a tax increase, they're not voting on an issue that I consider important. Thank you.
Public hearing. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by the Council President. Close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavara.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the close of the public hearing. For final adoption, City Ordinance 13057, Item 4H, Councilman Sotolano.
I vote aye, and this will clean up a site that's been vacant for a considerable period of time.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Councilman Fulop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson?
Aye.
Council President?
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the adoption of item 4H, City Ordinance 13050.
Rob, go ahead. Go ahead.
He agreed with Mike.
I
Don't
agree
worry
with
about
Mike. I agree with Mike. Aye. Let it go.
Thank you.
You're very agreeable, Peter. I like that.
Thank you, Mike.
Sorry, Council President. 8-0 vote for the adoption of City Ordinance 4H, City Ordinance 13057. 4I, City Ordinance 13058. Is it an ordinance approving a 12-year tax exemption for a market-rate residential rental project to be constructed by Laidlaw Properties Urban Renewal, LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, New Jersey statutes annotated 40A:20-1 et sec. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Yes, Jason Berg. Where is this location? This is Landlord Avenue?
136, 138 Oakland Avenue on the corner of Laidlaw. It's the old laundry building.
66 Laidlaw.
So this laundry building is going to be torn down and reconverted?
It's going to be rehabilitated.
Rehabilitated. So how tall is the building? Right now? How tall is the building?
It's about 4.5, 5 stories.
5 stories.
About right. Yeah, it's about
6, so it's in a 6.
Stories will be the total when it's finished.
And how many units?
95 units will be the total number of units when it's complete.
What about parking?
103 spaces.
103 spaces.
That's much better than in the last time we had a building go up 2 weeks ago. That's much better. Well, thank you very much. And there's a question. So with abatements are supposed to bring in programs. I'm glad that this is not a 30-year, which the next 3 are, even though the other 3 are definitely for seniors. But again, this is mixed use and to help out people. I don't know why this can't be, the other units can be also 12 years. Thank you.
Public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Motion.
By Council President Brennan.
Second.
By Councilwoman Coleman. To close the public hearing, Councilman Stadolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
8-0 to close the public hearing for the final adoption of City Ordinance 13058, item 4I. Councilman Stadolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President Brennan.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of City Ordinance 13058, item 4I on today's agenda. 4J, City Ordinance 13059 is an ordinance to, 1, extend the sunset provision of Ordinance 11084 that approved a 30-year tax exemption for a low and moderate income senior citizen affordable housing project to be constructed by Montgomery Senior Living Center, Urban Renewal Associates, LP, and 2, amend the financial agreement to increase the percentage of the annual service charge. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Is there anyone wishing to be heard?
Yes, I'm not going to speak only on one. We're increasing the annual percentage charge to what, from what?
The tax exempt piece of property, it's Montgomery Gardens. Okay. The first 15 years will be at 9%. The next 15 years will be at 12%. That is the first 15 years is critical because that is what's required for them to apply for tax credits and for
If I'm not mistaken, because I remember the Montgomery.
This was, they applied once before, and we had a 2-year sunset on it. 2 years has expired. They're reapplying for tax credits.
Okay, Montgomery where? Which Montgomery? One on.
Montgomery Gardens.
Close from County.
Okay.
It's tax exempt now. Now that they're partnering with somebody, it wouldn't mean that revenue would be coming in. It will no longer be tax exempt.
Okay, well, I just want to put things in perspective. 30 years is a long time. I'm 64 this year. And I will turn 65. My taxes as a senior will be going up. We'll be bringing in basically, most likely, new people. My neighbor who passed away, I'm not going to mention her name, she was 98 when she passed, paying $10,000 in taxes. My mother is 20-plus years older than I am. She still pays taxes. So while you're looking at newer residents, giving them a break, the people who live here, who are senior citizen property owners, you're putting a burden on their back because they must support the services for these people in terms of the county services, which they're entitled to, in terms of police service, which they're entitled to. So while it looks good on paper and the newspaper, when you show the senior, the mayor and the council, the dirt and the shovels in the oven, we're doing this for senior citizens. In a way, you're doing it against the people who live here, because most of the people I've noticed who in tax liens, when the city sells it next year, they're basically Jersey City seniors who became ill and had to make a choice. Maybe one of the spouses died, so they lost their Social Security, but they're still paying a tax bill. So you have a lot of that. Or their medicine have gone through the roof, and they have to choose between medicine and paying taxes. This actually, for 30, you really, and what else kind of bothers me is not just that, it's the fact that when I vote for the sake of my tax bill. You're bringing in people who for 30 years will not have any problem with the tax bill, so they will vote according to what the city spends on them, which dilutes my vote, and that's horrible. Why are we constantly having two types of citizenry in the Jersey City? You're making that distinction, not me. But you're putting a burden on long-term seniors. My mother and I just had a conversation today about paying taxes and how concerned about it. And she's been here for a long time, and she's, up there in the late 80s. But she pays a tax bill. Nobody gives her a break at all. So what you're doing is putting a burden on, I call, seniors, taxpayers, not seniors who got a good deal right now. Some of them, many of them, is going to be newer residents. Thank you.
Public hearing on the ordinance.
Jason Bird. Michael, I'm listening back there, and I really can't hear you when you're speaking. The amount, now this is new construction. It's
existing building that they
Rehab.
It's an existing building, and it says to be constructed. I'm just playing with semantics. To me, it would be new construction. How many units are there now, and how many more units will be added?
I can't tell you how many are there now, but it will be 67 units.
So it's 67 units now, and
67, there's probably 67 units in the building now, but it will be 67 affordable senior units.
so they're just renovating the building for another 30 years to do that.
It's tax exempt now. It's the housing authority.
Oh, that's even more of, so question is,
Now they will be paying something.
so it went from the housing authority to, now I understand it, so it's on the rolls now
As tax exempt.
as tax exempt, but they're paying a lower amount, but they're still
Paying nothing.
but paying nothing. So this is so we're going to have some more money coming in?
We'll have a few dollars coming in, yes.
And unless they get the tax credit,
They won't build at all.
nothing happen. So
So-
they're applying for tax credit. In order to get the tax credit, they have to have this kind of agreement.
So this is the pay, this is,
They may not get the tax credit again. They didn't get it the first round. They may not get it this round. The next two, I think, that we are dealing with also is applying for tax credits. May or may not get it.
right. And, all right, that's good to know. And the amount of parking units that are part of that Montgomery Gardens? I'm just asking.
Nothing has changes
Not-
within,
I don't know how many parking units there are.
I would have to ask the housing authority.
All right, okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
My name is Fletcher Gensmer, 300 2nd Street, and Mr. Solano, thank you for clarifying that they're going to be paying now something to the city, so that's good. But I'm concerned about the length of the tax abatements that the council has been giving out. I think 30 years is a little bit excessive on the backs of the middle class. I've been talking to a lot of people downtown in Ward E lately, and they are vehemently over. They do not like the tax abatements because they give developers and others special tax exemptions while the rest of the middle class have to make up the difference, and I'm very concerned about the overuse of the tax abatements as well as the length of time of the tax abatements as well. And I was glad to see that there's now tax abatements being given to development in other areas of Jersey City. I think we need more of that, but also, again, we need to take into consideration the time of these tax abatements because things move fast nowadays. And, once these buildings are built, they should not be allowed to get tax exemption for a very long time.
All three of these are for low income, whether they be senior or low income housing.
Understood.
That's why they're at a 30-year.
Okay.
They're not market rate.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe it could be 15 or 20 years,
What
but
do you do? Tell a senior then that he went from,
Well,
he can live there, he can't live there?
well, let's put it this way. I'm going to be a senior one day, too, and I'm not getting any tax exemption. I bought my place in 2007, only to see huge tax increases back in 2009 when you guys raised taxes. Remember, I came up here. And then in 2010, upwards of 25% tax increase. So I'm just asking for a little tax fairness from the City Council. Thank you very much.
Mr. Harrington, I believe you're representing the firm, right? Can you come up and explain some of it in detail to us?
Yes, for the record, Charles Harrington of Conifoli on behalf of the applicant and developer for ordinance 13059 and 13060. As was stated earlier, the request is to extend the ordinance that was originally granted about 2 years ago. That tax abatement ordinance had a 2-year sunset provision, and the reason for that was during that time period, my client made an application to the state for low-income housing tax credits. And without getting an award for the low-income housing tax credits, these projects don't happen. They applied for 2 rounds of tax credits, and they did not win the award in those respective rounds. There is now an additional round that the deadline is the end of this month, May 31st. So they are requesting that this be extended because as part of your application you get points for certain things in your application, one of which is a tax abatement for the development. And the development needs to be as long as the financing for the construction and for the award, which is 30 years. So a 20-year abatement or 15-year abatement really wouldn't do anything for them as part of their application to the state because you wouldn't maximize your awards. And this is a very, very competitive program that not only Jersey City programs but throughout the state compete for. So if you go in with any disadvantage, for all intents and purposes, you're not going to win. So that's why you'll find the affordable housing, not just these 2, but the one after that and the 2 that were introduced today on the first reading. They were asking for 30 years because that's a requirement as part of the application process to maximize your points and be competitive with all the other projects throughout the state.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. Maria Mayo.
I wasn't going to speak, but I can't help myself. Maria Mayo, Executive Director of the Jersey City Housing Authority. We need to clarify a couple of issues. I'm sorry. Okay. One, these properties don't pay anything now, so that I think needs to always be mindful of that. And two, the folks that are going to have a preference to move into these units are people that already live here. The notion that somehow they come from someplace else is really erroneous. The preferences are for Montgomery Gardens, the seniors who are now at Montgomery Gardens, who are waiting for this building to be renovated, and so that they could move back. And the next preference is folks in the neighborhood. So this will be occupied by, for the most part, existing residents in Jersey City that need affordable housing. The same thing with Resolution K. That is another public housing site. It's the old Lafayette Gardens public housing site. We were not paying taxes. We will be paying taxes. And again, the first preferences are for returning Lafayette Gardens residents as well as the surrounding neighborhood. So I just needed to say that because I think sometimes we talk about other people coming from Mars. I don't know where they think people are coming from, but certainly I know that I've gotten calls, and I know you get calls all the time, and letters for the need for affordable housing. Affordable housing doesn't work without these long-term tax abatements. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by whom?
Coleman.
Councilwoman Coleman. Close the public hearing. Councilman Catalano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye to close.
Council President Brennan.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote to close the public hearing for the final adoption of City Ordinance 13059, Item 4J. Councilman Catalano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I would like to say I'm glad to see that where they were not paying any taxes at all in the past, they will be paying some taxes now. I think that's an advantage, and I vote aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of City Ordinance 13059, Item 4J. Item 4K, City Ordinance 13060. It's an ordinance to, one, extend the sunset provision of Ordinance 11083 that approved a 30-year tax exemption for a low and moderate income affordable housing project to be constructed by the Glenview Townhouses 2 Urban Renewal Associates LP, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, New Jersey statutes annotated 40A:20-1 et sec, and 2, amend the financial agreement to increase the percentage of the annual service charge. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Same thing.
Jason Bird. To clarify, is this, who is the owner of this project? Is it a housing authority?
That's what Ms. Mayo
That's,
indicated
okay,
before.
so this is a housing authority, so this is going to be a renovation of the existing establishment building?
Not on that side, I don't believe. No, that site is a vacant site at this point.
All right, and how, so it's also going to be the same?
Yeah, the existing one down on Woodward Street and Grant Street.
We're on K.
K, 4K.
And so with the new units being built, how many units will be built?
64, I believe. 64.
So, and with the 64 the housing units, those would be like they did on two families, you know. No, I'm saying the construction, the kind of construction will be like, you know, a two-story building in a small area, like they did when they redid.
Mayo, you want to come
Woods.
up and explain this project? This is yours, Marie. Marie Mayo will come up and explain it.
Wait till you get to the mic.
See,
Slide over a little, Jason.
Sorry. Glenview is part of the Lafayette Gardens development. If you're familiar with Grand and Woodward, that's our project there. So it's 2- and 3-story developments, but it's low-rise townhouses, and it's a mix of low, moderate, and market rate units. But it was the old Lafayette Gardens development. Okay.
Thank you. By the way, how many parking spaces will be provided for senior?
1 for 160.
64? That's good. Thank you.
The public hearing. We have a motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by Councilman Sotolano. Close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez? Councilman Fulop? Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson? Council President Brennan?
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the close of the public hearing. For the final adoption, City Ordinance 13060, Item 4K. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Aye.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of City Ordinance 13060, Item 4K on the agenda. Our last second reading ordinance, City Ordinance 13061, Item 4L, is an ordinance to, 1, extend the sunset provision of Ordinance 11102 and that approved a 30-year tax exemption for a low-income senior citizen and special needs affordable housing project to be constructed by the Ocean Green Senior Apartments LP, a qualified housing sponsor under the New Jersey Mortgage Housing Finance Agency Law, New Jersey Statutes Annotated 55:14K-1 at second, to amend the percentage of the service charge. Gene O'Connell here?
Yes, he is.
Gene, would you come up and just ameliorate the questions that will soon be asked if you don't get up and say something?
This is an affordable housing project, a 9% low-income housing tax credit project, which requires exactly what the last two required. The project is at the old Murray Funeral Home on Ocean Avenue, 742, 748 Ocean Avenue. It will be a senior project and also some special needs units. The reason we did that is that there is a limitation in the tax credits that each municipality can only get 2 awards. However, if you put in a special needs project, that allows a third project to be awarded for the municipality. So it's going to be 44 units and a lot of open space, parking underneath the building. And we need exactly what the 2 projects for the Housing Authority need.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing on the ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Mr. Doherty.
I thought Mr. Doherty was jumping up.
I did so.
That motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Richardson, seconded by Councilman Sotolano to close the public hearing. Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez. Councilman Goyhan is absent. Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman. Councilman Lavaro.
Excuse me?
Close, Councilwoman.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Aye.
You said aye, Councilwoman?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. And I heard you, Councilman Lavaro.
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson. Council President.
Stepped away.
For the final adoption of City Ordinance 13061, item 4L on the agenda, Councilman Sotolano.
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly.
I just want to say that low-income, moderate, and affordable housing is just so important. I'm sorry. I just want to say that low-income and moderate affordable housing in this city is just so important. That the reason why these tax exemptions are 30 years is there is no way that this type of housing will be built without these tax exemptions. They're not on the waterfront. They're in the middle of town. They're in an area that otherwise this just would not happen. We are an affordable housing desert here in Jersey City, and it is just so important. You know, you would think in the United States people would have a right to housing. We don't. It should be, and this brings us closer to that. Thank you very much. I vote aye.
Councilwoman Lopez.
I vote aye.
Councilman Fulop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I have to say I agree with Dave. I worked in Ward F as a social service person for over 13 years, and one of the biggest barriers for our seniors is finding some place to live that they can afford. And this is going to be right on Ocean Avenue where the old Mary's Funeral Parlor used to be, and I'm really happy about that. I vote aye.
Councilman Lavaro.
Well said, Councilman Donnelly and Councilwoman Coleman. I vote aye.
Councilwoman Richardson.
I'm pleased that it will accommodate special needs residents, and it's down the street from the light rail, which is a good thing. And the other part to this is that I'm praying that they get it because that place is an eyesore. This is where they do a whole bunch of dumping on Ocean Avenue. So I happily vote aye.
Council President.
Aye, Robert.
We have an 8-0 vote for the final adoption of item 4L 13061.
Robert, before we go to the public speakers, Ms. Coleman wants to vote on the claims and addendum and resolutions. She has to go somewhere.
Okay.
So what do I say?
Councilwoman Coleman.
I vote aye.
This would be for the claims, addendum number 1, and all resolutions.
I vote aye on all.
Thank you very much.
I thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Enjoy
you.
your night. Have a good evening.
First speaker tonight is Mr. William Doherty.
Oh, God. Good evening. William Doherty, 3060 Kennedy Boulevard. I do not recall having said at a previous city council meeting that Nydia Lopez lied. If I did say this, I am asking Nydia Lopez to please accept my apology. Lying is too strong a word here. What did happen was that Nydia Lopez said that she never saw me do anything wrong, nor did she see me do anything right at a Grandview political lunch. Steve Fulop and Nydia Lopez had a closed-door meeting with the Grandview landlord. At this meeting, they offered the Grandview landlord a deal. The deal was that they would exempt the Grandview landlord from Jersey City 24/7 security guard laws. This is in your face corruption. I am asking Steve Fulop and Nydia Lopez to state for the record that they will sponsor 24/7 security guard legislation and that they will accept no deals for special interest landlords. Nydia Lopez has also made the claim that I am the only one at the Grandview who wants 24/7 security guards. This is not true. I have here in my hands a petition circulated by the Grandview landlord for tenants who do not want 24/7 security guards. Only 2/3 of the tenants signed this petition. I was one of the 1/3 of the tenants who did not sign this bogus petition. The Grandview landlord has been threatening tenants that the rents will go up with 24/7 security guards. This is a lie. The real-world experience in Newark has shown that rents do not go up with 24/7 security guards. Moreover, Senator Sandra B. Cunningham and Senator Brian P. Stack do not buy the Grandview landlord's arguments. I have here in evidence S672, the 24/7 security guard bill sponsored by Senator Stack and Cunningham, and S2018, which is the legal fees for tenants. A bunch of old people at the Grandview represent a tiny fraction of a % of the tenant population of Jersey City. The tenant population of Jersey City is 75% of the total Jersey City population. The vast majority of Jersey City population is tenants who do want 24/7 security guards. Do not let the tiny fraction of a % of Grandview old people hold hostage the entire population of Jersey City. The Grandview landlord is a dues paid up member of the New Jersey Association of Apartment Owners in Trenton. Due to the money and influence of this powerful lobbying group, S672, security guard bill, and S2018, legal fees for tenants bill, is currently stalled in the state legislature. Therefore, Tenants United is urging City Council to introduce these bills as ordinances. This will spur passage of the state bills. Rolando Labero, you do not need to research anything. The completed research is now in your hands in the form of the 2 state bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorenzo Richardson.
Robert, 1 minute. Mr. Doherty came to my office this week. I actually was going to thank him. Mr. Doherty, you can sit down.
Yeah.
You have nothing to say. Not right now, anyway. I actually was going to thank him and acknowledge him because when he came to my office, he came to apologize for the negative and the lies that were told here at the council in the past council meetings. He actually said that those words were Lydia Radin's words, not his words. And I said to him, no, don't make Lydia responsible. You need to be responsible for what comes out of your mouth. It has nothing to do with Lydia. All right, I apologize. So now he comes here with a total different song. I will not answer to you anymore, Mr. Doherty, because definitely something is wrong. You know, it takes courage and it takes esteem to apologize for the mistakes that come out of our mouth. But to one day say one thing and another day say another, there's something wrong. Thank you.
Lorenzo Richardson.
Lorenzo Richardson. I'm here because Councilman Fulop 2 weeks ago at last council meeting said that my comments were basically political regarding the items that were on the Dunkin' Donuts construction site that's under construction still, as well as the sign at the hub and the sign that represents the construction site for the new police and fire location. That was not political. Now, there were political signs on those things. And on the trash bin next to KFC, as well as the bin for the clothing next to KFC. They all had your political information on it. And then you're going to send an email out to people talking about vandalism and that you're committing vandalism. So I don't understand where I came from anywhere talking about anything political when it was your political information that was causing vandalism. Now, as far as this article that I saw when I came out of my church about Healy and Councilwoman Richardson, everybody would be unemployed for the next 4 years if somebody voted for them, paid for by you. First of all, there are 4 job fairs that came through the Councilwoman's office that she's in the process of already distributing, okay? And she's been at more job fairs probably than anybody on this council, and I'm not taking anything from anybody. Now, the other thing is, when it comes to unemployment, the people where you work on Wall Street are the cause of the unemployment. So how could you even blame her for unemployment for the next 4 years? I have a problem with that. Now, the other thing is, your campaign literature and a commercial campaign literature, Better Education for New Jersey Kids, which is B4K, and then it says this expenditure was not made with the cooperation or prior consent of or in consultation with or at the request or suggestion of any candidate or person or committee acting on behalf of the candidate. But your name and your face is all over it about what you're doing in your agenda. That doesn't even make sense. Now, David Tepper represents, along with your friend Shelley Skinner, and this goes way back to when you were hanging around with Schindler, talking about how you're going to change the schools when you became commissioner, who has an agenda of privatizing. And you know Tepper does that because he's one of the major New Jersey funders. You know this as a fact. And if anybody wants a copy of this, I'll be happy to give them the information. Now, you want schools, you went to school for politics, so I understand why you made that political comment last council meeting, so I'm not even going to entertain that. But these foreclosures, David Tepper himself made $4 billion over these foreclosures and others throughout this country, and you hadn't said anything about that, and you're benefiting from it, and the backpack giveaway for the past 2 years, which you set up the registration website for, as well as the giveaway for the gift cards was from the same guy, David Tepper. So you're going to take the money from the foreclosures, and then you're going to give people little giveaways like you're doing them a favor.
1 minute, Lorenzo.
1 minute? Okay. Now, instead of being a positive example, like you tried to claim to be, you're nothing but a polarizing figure, and you're tearing the city apart. And all you're doing is doing negative statements, talking about people. You could have just went on about your campaign. You could have stayed out of the Board of Ed, and half of the people who are against you wouldn't even bother you. But you had to go there because you want to be corrupt like the rest of them. But you just want to try to make it look like you're clean. And this thing about the voter thing somebody sent me. This is not an official county clerk form, so why would you send them something and have them send it back to you when it's supposed to go back to the county clerk? I think I'm done with you. I think Jersey City's done with you.
Patricia Waiters.
Good evening, Patricia Waiters, Hoboken. What I have here is a recording. I want you to listen to and pay close attention to the dates, please.
Saved messages. Main menu. To listen to your messages, press 1. To change first saved message from phone number 516-445-4390. Received April 17th at 10:52
Note the
p.m.
dates.
Patricia Claudia, I took your phone message about the law enforcement agency that you're going to go see today. Listen, you're missing a huge help here. Walker is running from there to Jersey City. I talked to him about your case and how we caught the U.S. Attorney's Office lying. He's like, send me an email, I'll help her. Backing Steve Fulham isn't helping you, but Walker
Jerry Walker, the candidate.
He's like, pull up the floor and I'll help her, send me an email. I talked to Earl Morgan. Call Earl Morgan. He'll try. But Walker is running for mayor, and he wants to know why he's willing to help you while you're back at Steve Fulham. That makes no sense. Fulham doesn't help anybody in the community. The only reason you're doing it is because, Cunningham is a Democrat, and Dr. Fair, gets some play from Steve, but those people aren't there for you. So, he sent an email, I will. Can you call your convenience? I'll try to call you back. Bye. Message saved. Next message from phone number.
But it's getting better. It's getting better. Because I'm clarifying what happened last week at the meeting. This is Jerry Walker's campaign quarters. It gets better. The race card.
Patricia Claudia, I talked to Jerry Walker. He's running for mayor. He's willing to help you. He's willing to help me. So, with great respect, I don't know what you're fooling around with Steve Fulham for, because Steve Fulham is running around defaming me every chance he gets, and he's not helping you either. So, Jerry Walker, I explained the situation to him. He knows everything that's going on, more or less.
All right,
Message saved.
That's the main one I want you to hear.
Next message. Received April 22nd at 1:36 p.m.
Hi, my name is Rich. I'm calling from the governor's office. I'm just calling to confirm.
Message saved.
Okay. Now, with that being done, I'm here to say one thing. Excuse me.
You use 3 minutes of your
I know, I'm aware that I already timed this. All I want you to know for the record is, I was accused, and this document is one for each and every one of you because it's get better. I was accused of campaign fraud, election fraud, and Mr. Fulop online, on the second line at the Star, was accused of selling our votes. And now, I want to say this to clarify my name and my group. We have a group here from Hudson County, which is a bunch of employees that was terminated wrongfully. Mrs. Raden stood up here at this microphone and blatantly lied and says she's a part of our group. She's not a part of our group. Our motive is not to stand here and slam no council member, and the last time I remember, it was 9 council members, not 1, okay, and 2 of them at large. With that being said, I need you to read this and look at this as an attached restraining order where she called my 14-year-old daughter and sent derogatory statements to a 14-year-old child telling her that her mother committed election fraud. I ran for Hoboken mayor, I ran for council at large, and I also ran for the Board of Education 3 times. And I know what election fraud and campaign fraud is. I don't run a campaign with no money. I have dignity and I have an integrity. And I know my black leaders fought hard for my vote, and I do not sell my vote. And I told you, Steve, the election gets dirty, it gets ugly. You keep faith and allegiance and keep your head up high and do what you do best. Because if you listen to this conversation, it was cropped, it was tweeted, and it was maliciously done with just Lydia Raven in a one-way conversation asking me a bunch of questions, and we in the background laughing at her because we know she walks around with a camera and tape record people for harm. She went in the United States federal building and illegally taped a lady with harm in a federal building. She do dirty things maliciously that we are not a part of it. Now I'm clarifying it tonight to clear my name and any of you council members that sit up here on this government body when people elect you. Don't let no little distractions like this stop you or refuse you from doing what you're supposed to do for this city. Please keep your head up high, stay strong, Steve. We got 5 days to go, and members of the public and my family members that's watching this from Jersey City, yes, vote for Steve Fuller, because he can't be brought, I can't be brought, and I don't need nothing from you, like I said on that tape, until after the election. Thank you, Steve. You have my support, and please keep this for your record.
Thank you. Nice segue to Lydia Raden. Kindly shut it off. You had that going your entire talk. Lydia Raden. No, I'll take that.
Thank you, sir. I know her voice could be nerve-wracking.
Unplug your battery. Ms. Raden, please begin.
I don't know where this nonsense about me calling Nydia Lopez a liar originated from. I asked Nydia Lopez to tell the truth. William Doherty and I were at an event at the Grandview around Thanksgiving time last year. We had done nothing wrong. We were there for about an hour and a half. And it was William Doherty's landlord's employees, Lisa Carney, that harassed us as we were leaving. The only thing we asked Nydia Lopez to do was to come to court and tell the truth. That's all we asked her to do. As for me leaving tape-recorded messages for Patricia Waiters, Earl Morgan asked me to send him an email so that he would send it to his contact list in an effort to help Patricia Waiters get a pro bono attorney or an attorney on contingency. Jerry Walker asked me to do the same thing. I carbon copied that email to the world. So Patricia Waiters and I were working against the same corrupt officials until Patricia Waiters decided to ask Steve Fulop to pay for buses to Washington. She should have waited until after the election was over. But Dr. Fair works for Steve Fulop in Ward B, and Patricia Waiters asked Steve Fulop to pay for buses for Washington. When you exchange your vote for something of value, that's election fraud. Patricia Waiters knows better. So we're done now. As for Lydia Radin going into a federal building, blah, 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 Patricia Waiters and I went to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Newark. I videotaped that encounter. Thank God I did, and Patricia Waiters should be thanking me, because about 9 months later, when we went to Washington and came back from Washington, Patricia Waiters was told that we were never there, but I have the videotaped evidence that shows we were there. So why Patricia Waiters would backstab the person who had the evidence to show that she really did make a good faith effort at the U.S. Attorney's Office, I don't know. Nor do I really care. So I think we're done with that. I'm going into court, and I think it's a shame, because I think what Patricia Waiters did was the same thing that Marlene Abramova did, which means you screwed up your case. Marlene Abramova was an Orthodox Jewish girl who asked me for help, and ultimately she plagiarized from me. I resigned from the Yeshiva Victims Group, and Marlene Abramova lost her case because she demonstrated that the medical school made the right decision for the wrong reasons. And Patricia Waiters, it's a tragedy, has demonstrated the same thing, that ultimately the decision to fire her was made for the wrong, it was the right decision for the wrong reasons, and I'm sorry for that. Moving on. This is, since we're going to court tomorrow, this is an article from the New York Times. It is self-authenticating, and it's part of Pauline Roman's case. I gave this to her because this is a large group in New York that's suing public housing on behalf of 300 tenants. Part of what they're doing is they're suing for the mold problem, and Pauline Roman's going to talk about the mold problem. This is an attorney with a large environmental group, and they're telling the newspaper that if you decide to bleach and paint over mold, you don't understand how to deal with the problem, and it's going to happen over and over again, which is exactly what Pauline Roman is going through. So I'm going to give this to each member. And the reason why and this is also from Jason Berg, you would want this. And the reason why we're here at City Council meetings is because the challenge that Pauline Roman has and that I have is that we're working with a corrupt court system. So last year, you had the opportunity to present. We're working with a corrupt court system where evidence is deliberately kept off the record. So since Pauline Roman has to deal with these people, what she does is figure out ways to put the evidence on the record so she won't be hurt by a corrupt judge who will not let her put facts on the record. And you know that Frank Babcock, who's a municipal court judge, deliberately created a false record. We held up signs to show that, and those signs are going to go to the FBI to show that you have no plausible deniability.
Sum up. I didn't give you the 1-minute warning. You need to sum up.
Okay. You guys have no plausible deniability because these are the flyers that went out about my case.
All right. You need to conclude.
Here you go.
Thank you.
And the conclusion is Steve Fulop's stance on crime and corruption in Jersey City is that he participates in it. And the facts are on these flyers which are going out.
Linda Ramos? Is Linda Ramos present? Samuel Gutierrez. Samuel Gutierrez. Dawood Williams. Steve Pinkney. Dennis Shino. Shino or Shino? Shino.
Good evening, council members. Dennis Shino, 85 Sherman Avenue. I work for the Jersey City Incinerator Authority Second Chance Program, UEZ. I just want to know if Councilman Phillips is elected, is he going to fight to get the money from the state to keep the social programs going that the last, I believe, 3 administrations have gotten? You know, Councilman Richardson, I'm nervous. She was very instrumental in getting these programs started. You know, you constantly hear about problems in Ward F. The majority of the people I work with live in Ward F, so if jobs are made available, people are going to take them. So I was just, again, I don't know if this is the right forum to ask you that question, but do you plan on doing that if you are elected?
Yeah, I was at the Incinerator Authority last week talking to some of the employees in Second Chance Program personnel about how we're going to expand it, as a matter of fact, how we're going to structure it, how it's going to work.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Laverne Washington?
No.
Absent.
Also.
Yvonne?
Yvonne Bolser. I did videotape PS4, the mayor's debate, and when you videotape something, you really understand the language going on. One of the things I heard the mayor said is that the city bonds have the $6 million a year. The reason for the reval is because of the bonds of paying out yearly $6 million. But I looked into the bonds we're paying. A sizable number of those bonds are tax-abated buildings that when the abatements are up, they go to tax court and they bond because they're now paying full taxes and they want to go down to that 32% ratio and go to tax court. Another reason why people go to tax court has nothing to do with that. We have a law in Jersey City that we can't pass along a tax increase to multifamily buildings. So what we're having year after year, we have multifamily buildings, which is 5 or more units. They get a tax increase, and the landlord who owns the building go to tax court, and we're paying for it. Which is the reason why, if you look downtown, lived there over 40 years, if you live downtown, when I first married my husband, that whole area there, all the tall buildings were apartments that people rent. And every one of those buildings around Van Wars Park, I can count like 8 of them, every one of them became a condo. Because the rent control laws is not, we have to, if you want people to provide housing for the public, then you have to change the laws to allow tax increases. Because if I'm a landlord and I have to go to tax court to pass it along and hire a lawyer, it's easier. It's just easier to make those buildings into condos. So that's the reason why there's a problem with young people or people finding rentals. It's because of the city's tax control laws or multifamily buildings. And so people come to you and say, gee, I can't find an apartment. Well, it's the tax control laws that the city has passed in 1985, which made a building scarce. So then you pass along all these tax abatement, and I come here and complain about it. And I know Donnelly said people should have the right to have housing. I think people should have a right to have an affordable tax bill that they can pay, because when you give out an abatement, you're not paying for it. The public is. You're making a promise down the road, and the people get their tax bill. They don't understand what's going on. I do. But they don't understand, and their taxes keeps going up, and you do drips and drabs to help out one group of people, a very small group. But if you really want to change the bonding the city does all the time, number one, you should have a clause in there that's saying that if a person had a tax abatement, they cannot for the next 5 years at least appeal their taxes, because they already got a break. And number two, you have to allow buildings to pass along the tax increase, because if you do not allow that to come along, then the landlord's going to take those buildings and make them into condos. And I don't think there's any multifamily buildings, at least around Vanderbilt's Park. But I don't think there's any multifamily left in Jersey City in downtown because of the rent control laws. Thank you.
Loris Mooney. I know. My pal.
My name is Dolores Mooney. I live downtown at 166 15th Street. I'm considered a neighborhood watch. We have St. Lucy's Church, which has been closed for 28 years. They don't pay taxes on it. But the problem we have is that the homeless people hang out there at night, and the church is boarded up. On the side of 15th Street, half of the windows are covered, and the rest are all broken. And then on the side of the steps is where these people hang out, and they break into the basement of the church, and they rip all the boards off. They go in there and sleep, and sometimes they take the candles that I light for people and take them and go down there. I don't know if the Archdiocese wants the church to go on fire, but over 27 years, I've been calling the police department, the incinerator department, and the Mayor's Action Bureau. They're very, how can I put it? It's like a garbage dump on the side of 15th Street. All the people in my neighborhood keep their sidewalks clean and make sure there's no garbage. It's like a dumping ground downtown for 15th Street. People, instead of taking the garbage in their own neighborhood, they leave it down on our sidewalks. Also, they have houses for the homeless people that people live in with children. Now, since December, the city has cut down the trees there because they were a hazard. Now, the lumber that comes from the trees is in the yard where these children run around and play. And the wood is piled up, there's logs there, and then the fence in the back of the houses is all busted up, and there's construction material that is laying in the yard. And I think something should be done about it, because the children can get hurt, and they're all in their young ages, school children. And I think something should be done about the sidewalk on the side of the house. It's always filled with garbage and bottles. That's across the street from the church, and the sidewalks are all broken up. So between Tom Harrison of the incinerator department and Joe the inspector from the incinerator department, Teresa from the Mayor's Action Bureau, and Captain Connors and the police department and the fire department has been down many times to make sure the Archdiocese has their people board up the building again. A month ago, I had to call the police department and the fire department to come over because all the boards were ripped off of the basement of the church, and it was loaded with garbage. And I don't think this is right. Also, there's an animal that digs into the church, side of the church, and leaves a hole that they can go in through. And the inside of the church, between the birds and the cats that used to go in there, is a health hazard. And the rain that we've been having over 27 years, the rain goes into the church, so I don't know what the inside of the church looks like. So I hope you can do something about it, because we have a nice neighborhood, and we don't need this stuff people dumping on us like we're a garbage dump. Thank you very much.
Can you give your information to My secretary.
Yeah, I gave it to her before. Okay,
We'll
so,
get housing code down there.
yeah, so I hope whatever you can do for me, I'd appreciate it, and my neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Berg.
I'm Jason Bird, Ward A candidate, independent, 7C. I am very happy that I put together the Ward A debate on April 23rd because on May the 7th it was canceled, so I had 2 weeks of being proactive. Now, there are a lot of things that can be done with Jersey City. Now, the funny thing is, corporations are now made people by the Supreme Court. It's now for people to become corporations, and that would be the city-state citizen project. By establishing a charter, citizens would have as much power or even more power to see what's going on in the city government. It would eliminate the influence of outside concerns and help the citizens be more empowered and more inclusion. Also, when we have these projects, we'd also be bringing back the Jersey City Energy Production Authority, which was voted down when we had money. And on a level of producing our own energy, we could save ourselves a lot of taxes. Also, people looking for a sustainable resource in government. By creating our own businesses, such as vertical farms, we would be able to produce our own energy, food, new jobs, reduce our carbon dioxide footprint, and know that we are buying food that is healthy and not E. coli or other poisons in our system. And on the aspect of revenue recycling, at this point we don't really do anything with tires, which is about 2 gallons of every tire. Each tire can produce 2 gallons of oil. We are not doing anything with concrete and other materials for remediation. Even dirt has to be taken out of the city. Unfortunately, when I received some dirt from adopted lots from the city, I received someone's backyard dirt I should have never received. Also, I did like to see introduced when this election is over, putting a cap on election spending at 50% of each post. That would permit a fair play for all citizens to be able to run for office. Establishing a tenants commission to overlook the current abuses by the current appointed judges and prosecutors. I've been there and I've seen what's going on in the same language, what is going on with Pauline Roman. The Jersey City Health and Jersey City Buildings will need to put into effect a draft code for mold remediation and the special materials for that construction. That will be forthcoming. That's from Ms. Smith from the Health Department. Fair rent increases via the law need to be done fairly. Unlike Pauline Roman, whose rent went up 50%, and it was made legal by this court system we have here in Jersey City. Now it's an election year. The parks are being cut more. I like that. And this is the first time in 44 years that the City Department of Public Works actually bests me in doing my mother's islands on Stagen Place. Now, the continuation with the Paula Roman land slumlord problem, I sent out a letter and read it into this body and to Hector Garcia, and Richard Charge said it was put in the file, but this was a charge of abuses, and that the other person, Roman, had to make this clear. But the real bottom line here is, the only thing I ask of anyone is to do 4 things. Your word is impeccable, don't take things personally, don't make assumptions, and do your best. When we are all doing those four things, we are far better acting community, individuals, and we'll have a better society. We can't do anything more. People ask, what are you going to do for me? Well, I say, it's not what I can do for you, it's what we can do together. We're the sum total of our solutions when we work together. There's nothing that we can't do if we can't sit down and speak the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Stefania, excuse me.
Stefania, good evening. It's about Stefania Valdini, 118 Kensington Avenue. This is the property I acquired in 2011. This property, when I was at the table of negotiation, someone told me that the property had a legal driveway. And even before buying the property, I called the zoning department. They said that that was the truth. The driveway was there since May 20th, 1998. So I went on my process, very long process. We acquired the property on May 2011. And then I started talking with zoning. I wanted something in writing. I was sent to many people, and I was sent to talk to Miss Claire Davis. It was a big mistake. She started talking down on me with a very unclear jargon full of technicalities. After a few weeks, I had been issued several violations. And so I had to go in front of the board of the zoning board. It took me 14 months to go there, and it was September 2012. After $6,000, the board said that, you know, the driver was there, was legal, why was I there? And so I wasted a lot of time. And on December of last year, I also found, I received a letter by the zoning person, Nick Taylor, saying that if I wanted to park my car in front of my property, I should get a franchise ordinance. I hired another lawyer. I found out that it's going to cost at least $5,000 in fees. And the people that were supposed to give me all the forms for the franchise ordinance were laughing in my face. I don't need that. And I've been contacting the zoning department, some officials at county, the Mayor Action Bureau, and many other people, and they told me that this is a very clear case of discrimination. If I need to get a franchise ordinance, the whole city of Jersey City should. By the way, in this letter of Mr. Taylor, there is a sentence stating that the parking space exceeds the property lines and encroaches public right-of-way. Based on staff testimony, a franchise ordinance would be required. The staff testimony were Ms. Claire Davis and Tanya. And I can assure you my car is very short. It's in the line of my properties. The properties, the lines and the perimeter are given by a county survey. And so basically these people are in front of the zoning board, are swearing a false lie, and then they are asking me to go through an extensive process to have a franchise ordinance that nobody has ever had to ask for a legal driveway in Jersey City. So this is very frustrating. It's a waste of public money, in my opinion, and that could be used for better uses. And I'm humbly asking you if you could help me out instead of having all this, public officers suggesting that I should sue the city of Jersey City. Just to make it and pay my taxes. I have 3 jobs. I don't have the time. This is clearly something that has been done, that has been said to me by many public servants. You are in this position because you started by asking a copy of your document. So I've been punished, and I'm sorry if I got someone mad, but I need your help to correct this injustice. Can you please help me? I really need your help.
Can you give that to the clerk, and the clerk will make you a copy to the clerk?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I try to be as fast as possible.
You're in Kensington? Kensington.
Driveway has been approved by zoning.
But you would have made copies and...
My driver was there since 1998. I won, I have a copy there. I won with I won and that's it.
You say that zoning approved your driveway.
Yeah, with no contingency. And then at a certain point there were contingency, that I needed a franchise. The parking spot that it's there, the driveway, has only been mended. The cement has been mended because I had to have a new water line there. I didn't do anything new. I didn't construct anything new.
Fans, they should have, a copy of
The Division of Zoning should have.
yeah, all that should be a part of the record already. You should be able to...
Everything is a part of record, but supposedly it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to help me.
Yeah, Robert, could you get... Robert, could you give me a copy of that stuff too? When we get
I'm a little concerned. She's giving me originals. You have no copies?
No, these are the copies, because I scanned them in my computer, so they look original, but those are copies.
The color is throwing me.
I know, I'm sorry. 118 Kensington Avenue, it's between West Side, 118 Kensington Avenue. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, I know, by the way, in the meanwhile, a team from Jersey City has come to my property and has spray painted the signage saying no parking. When I asked about this to Nick Taylor, he said, I totally am with you. You have a, lawful driveway. I'll never write violations to you. You are right. Your car is inside your limits. How is it possible that my property is shrinking? I mean, this is against the Fifth Amendment, right? And, something is very, very unclear here.
With who's saying that your property is shrinking?
Well, the person that was testifying that my car is outside the perimeter.
If I may, council members, this is not a standard lot in Jersey City. It's 25 by 80 and a quarter feet. It's not 100 feet deep. It's not a standard 2,500 square foot lot. I'll get this information to the city council. Okay? Ms.
Thank you so much. Sorry if I'm too much information. I was trying to push it there. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I remember making the guys go there to put the no parking in front of your place so that you could have the driveway, but I didn't realize that this happened
Well,
like
Chico Ramcha was able to do that, and that's also very interesting that on one side, Mr. Taylor writes me this letter, and on the other side is sending there a team of people spraying and saying that I have a lawful...
All right.
Work it out.
Okay. Pauline Roman?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stefania.
Good evening, Councilman and Councilwoman. My name is Pauline Roman, and I live at 150 Pearsall Avenue. I'm here tonight to express the harm that is being done to me and my family. My landlord is literally using the building of where I live as a weapon against my family. And to say because of all the violations and in my apartment and within the building has caused harm to my family. My children have been removed because of this. I just want to express, I really need an attorney, and I really need help from the city. Judge Rogers is holding evidence and not allowing me to present the facts and the evidence in court. She's falsifying records. I believe this is really insane. This shouldn't be. I have a right to freedom of speech, and especially in the case of what's happening. There is mold literally growing, and this mold is so harmful that right now my husband is very sick. Not only has Judge Rogers falsified records, so has Frank Babcock. And I go into court tomorrow with the city inspectors, and I would like to believe that the health department is going to make an issue of this, because I don't think they are writing up the reports right. I feel they are even holding back evidence. And my landlord is literally getting away with all these violations that are in my apartment into the building that I don't think any landlord could get away with something like this. He's got people coming in that don't even want to present to me license or their name or who they even are. He has numerous amount of people coming in doing work. Last Wednesday, he had a contract come in. I, expressly told him about the mold in my kitchen. He went and removed a wall that was behind this mold, the opposite of this wall in my kitchen, and exposed more mold in my apartment. Now I have 2 small 6-year-olds and 2 small grandchildren that are 2 years old. Now what do you think's going to happen? I've been living with this mold since 2009 that has spread it out in my apartment where I had to literally throw away toys and furniture and like a lot of things that I had to replace, and was not giving back any of this money for what I had to expose. And I feel that the courts need to prosecute my landlord on this. Now, I've had supporters, and I'm so thankful for you, Viola Richardson, for pushing the issue, and for Mr. Lavaro. I'm thankful for Lydia for being a supporter, Jason Berg, as well as Bill Doherty, and others that have been there for me. But I really need the issue to be pushed more.
You're going to be home tomorrow at 11 o'clock?
Yes.
All right, what's your address?
It's 150 Pearsall Avenue. Well, I think we'll be in court at 9. I'm not sure when court will be over, but
It won't be available at 11.
But I also go to court on the 23rd of May before Judge Rogers. And I like this issue to really be brought up to Judge Rogers. It's not a game no more. The landlord is really trying to hurt my family with this building.
What is your lawyer saying?
You have 1 minute.
Right now, I don't have an attorney. I'm looking for an attorney. My attorney was Frank Babcock that resigned on me.
You're going to what court tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'm going with the inspectors to municipal court before Judge Abad. And I hope Judge Abad makes the right decision as well. And I have some information, some literature that I'd like everyone to look at.
What is the purpose of tomorrow's hearing with Judge Abad?
To enforce the violations. To enforce the violations.
Okay, that's from
There
the...
were violations written.
Right.
Yes.
And they were given
But there's
time
some
to-
that are not, that I have not heard being brought into court.
Say again?
There's some that I have not heard that was presented in court. And when I have mentioned these, I mentioned these to Judge Rogers, and she didn't want to hear it.
No, because if the person who's going to court is the inspector, then they're not going to hear from you. They're going to hear from
You're out
Wait,
of order,
Ms. Radin, you're out of order.
Yes, there was a problem with Mr. Gross saying that there was no leak to my bathroom. And there was, in fact, in April or the 25th of last year. And in September, this ceiling fell on my husband's head. That's why I say my landlord is getting away with using the building as a weapon. Not only that, Mark Curtis...
Lydia, you're not helping
have
this.
to remove you.
You're not helping this.
Not only that, Mark Curtis knew of this mold growing in my apartment in 2009.
inspector see the mold.
Yes.
Okay.
Inspector Diaz has saw the mold.
Yeah, I think we need to let.
And tomorrow, I will be going before Judge Abad about,
Mold and stuff.
it's about all the violations.
So go to court and then let us know what happened after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to do other than to
Esther
do that.
Whitner?
The code violations.
Esther?
Hi, good evening. My name is Esther Whitner, and I'm here this evening to talk about the ordinance that's here on the first reading, the 30-year tax exemption for the Samuel A. Berman Senior Residence Urban Renewal. This is a property that the synagogue wants to sell on the corner of Bentley and Kennedy Boulevard. And there's been some talk within the community. We, the residents that live in the area, have just found out about this. They want to sell the property and put up a 37-unit building on that corner. Now, that property, along with the properties on Bentley Avenue from West Side to Bergen Avenue, were zoned R1A a couple of years ago, in 2010, to preserve these historic homes, to preserve these historic properties. The people in the community on Bentley, on Harrison, had no idea this was going on. There was no outreach to the community until this week, when we got an email that they're having a meeting at the temple this Thursday. So there was no input from the community. In addition, this is going to appear before the Board of Adjustment on May 16th to get some kind of variance on the use and the height for this building. I just would like to ask the people up here on the council, 4 of you at least will not be here in a couple of months. I mean, Mr. Sotolano and Steve and David. So I think that this needs to be tabled until A, we have a new council to vote on it, B, till the community has the opportunity to hear about this, because this is not an area that is in need or zoned or designated as an area that is blighted or needs some kind of renewal, urban renewal. So I think that it's it's insulting to the residents that the synagogue and the people that were involved with this would have started this process and have gotten this far along before they even reached out to the members of the community. It's as if it's a fait accompli. So I will ask that you have this tabled, and if you can extend this to the Board of Adjustment to have that tabled until the members of the community have the opportunity to speak on this, because many members of the community are very upset about this, very upset about this building, very upset in the process and the way this was handled to the members of the residents. So I would like to ask that you please do that on behalf of the residents in that community. Thank you. You know about this, Mr. Solano?
Yes, I do. There's a meeting tomorrow night, I know, with the public, and we will be waiting to see what the results of that meeting is.
Yeah, when did you find out about it?
What, the meeting?
Yeah.
2 days ago, something like that.
Just recently. So, but this has been, were you aware that they want to sell this property, or they were selling this property?
Trying to sell the
Part
property
of
for years.
the application, did come before the board, that the part of the application shows that the synagogue would be selling the property for.
Okay, so when did this all come to light? Is this something that just popped up, or were there people who've been aware of this for a while?
I've been aware of it since we had an debate meeting
Rosemary.
a couple weeks ago.
That's the Rosemary.
What did I say? Wednesday. This was brought to our attention this past weekend. This is the first time This was brought to our attention this past weekend. That was the first time the administration found out about it. There is the Zoning Board of Adjustment. She's right. They're having a hearing on this. All right. So the notices based upon the Zoning Board of Adjustment was sent out to the community, not only the people within, I guess, whatever it is, 200 or 250 feet, but they sent it out to the entire community. It was brought to our attention that the community was upset about it. The reason it was placed on the agenda is that this is also one of the applicants for the tax credits. So we reached out to the developers, we reached out to their attorney, we told them that, the community is meeting on Thursday night, and then there's also going to be the meeting at the Board of Adjustment. The administration understands that this is a historic block in terms of zoning and things like that. So we want to hear from the community as well before the administration takes an official position on this. And that won't happen until your second reading, which will be at the end of the month.
29th.
Which is the 29th. So in the meantime, we will have heard about what happens Thursday night and then what happens at the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
So on the last note, I just want to say, if you're zoning this R1A like you did in 2010, if you're going to set up rules and that we all have to abide by, then we should all abide by them. We can't step outside of the rules because a developer wants to put up a 37-unit building in an area that is all two-family homes. So I hope that you table this and put this aside until we can get this set up.
Esther, I think that what happened is we talked about doing the first reading and not approving it at the second reading until such time as the community is settled with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David Adams. David Adams.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm David Adams. I was here last week, and I was basically asking for the city to help me out with certain programs, whatever the case may be. And today I have young men with me who are from Ward F, who's actually looking for jobs, and they need a second chance. And I don't know about these second chance programs, but I don't know too much about it, but from what I understand, they go out sweeping and things like that. But these guys need a job. This brother right here, this young man right here, he actually had a job at one time, but for some reason he has a record, and it was a while ago. I think, how long ago was this? 2000, huh? 2007. You want to come up, sir?
No.
You talk to us in the mic.
Speaking.
Oh, okay.
Into the mic, you can
So,
turn
yeah,
up there.
about 2007. So he had the job recently, and he was on the job for like maybe 2-3 months, making about $18 an hour. He has 2 children. He was very happy when he got this job. I'm in the barbershop, so I hear these guys' stories all the time. I'm almost like a psychologist to these guys and whatever, you know. So he come in the shop. He's very happy about the job he got and everything, and his whole life changed, and his whole direction changed, his energy changed, and all of a sudden, 2-3 months later, he comes in the shop depressed. What happened? I lost my job. What happened? They brought up a record from years ago. So I'm just fighting to help young men like this who wants to check second chance and willing to fly straight. I'm just wanting to know, what does the city have for men like this that don't want to go back to a lifestyle that was corrupt? So can you help me help these young men? There's another brother here. He hasn't had a job since 2005. You know, because of a record. Do you guys have something for these young men as far as job is concerned? Because I'm really trying to help, because I care, because I don't want them to go back out there in the street. I've had so many customers that actually went into the street, did so many different crimes, and in jail now for life and things of that nature. So help me help them. Can you do that?
Try.
We can try. Are the young black men in Ward F on the agenda? Are the young black men of Ward F, are they on the agenda for this, you know, as far as doing anything for them in the city? Are they on the agenda as far as the plans for the future?
Well, the real plans are trying to bring jobs into the city for the residents,
Right.
not just for Ward F.
Right.
Black
I understand
men.
that.
People the problem is that so many people who have a record
Right.
that there aren't enough jobs to accommodate everybody. There's not
Okay.
enough jobs to accommodate people who don't have a record.
Right.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the challenge that we're facing is we
Right.
don't have enough jobs coming in
Okay.
to deal with all of the people who want and need the job.
Right.
But I mean, I vow to never stop advocating for and trying to bring in jobs. Jobs come to my office every day, but somehow it just doesn't always accommodate those people with the record.
Right.
You know.
Okay. All right. Another thing. Job fair? Okay.
We need
Okay. All right. Thank you.
minutes, sir.
Okay. Also, I have a bike club that I mentor young men and trying to guide them in the right direction. I need some helmets. If you guys can help me with some helmets or something like that, I'm taking them on the street, and maybe we're going to ride over the Brooklyn Bridge or something like that. I just need some help with that, if you can help me with that, if that's possible. Some helmets for young men that I'm trying to guide, and no, bikes. Bike helmet. I said I have a bike club. I said construction helmets. All right. All right. So that's all I'm asking for. I'm just trying to help the young community out, the young men in the community, and if I can get the cities back in, it'd be great. I appreciate it.
Part of the problem in Jersey City also,
Say it again?
part of the problem in Jersey City also, and I say this because in the last 4 years, I've gone to some of these hotels here, and a lot of the people that are working in these companies and these hotels, None of them live in Jersey City.
Exactly. Even on Martin Luther King Drive, there are stores.
South.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem too.
Right. Yeah, even in Jersey City on the avenue, there's stores and things of that nature that no one's, a lot of people there don't live in Jersey City.
Can you give me a call?
And your name is again?
Give me a call.
Give you a
Councilwoman Nydia Lopez.
Got you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, all right?
Minister King, Deborah King.
Sound like thunder.
Or somebody's bowling on the third.
Good afternoon, Council. Minister Deborah King, before you, I'm also running for councilperson of Ward F. It is so apropos that these gentlemen just left you, and now I'm here. I'm here because Ward F, Jersey City in general, is an ongoing problem. We have an ongoing problem with crime in our community. We have an ongoing problem, as you just heard, with the lack of jobs in our community. We want our young men and women to grow up in the community, be a healthy participant of the community, someone that is positive, someone that is devoting their life to the ongoing prosperity of Jersey City. We can't have that if we don't have jobs, because if we don't have jobs, we don't have safe communities, we don't have a decent place for our young people to grow up in. What are they going to do? As it was just said, they're going to turn to crime. They're going to turn to crime because it is the only available resource in order for them to survive. I'm here speaking out and crying out to this council to not just come through this community only on election time. We have a lot of your paraphernalia in our boxes. We have a lot of information that you put out there, how much you care, how dearly and affectionate you are toward our community, but it doesn't reflect the way we live. The way we live in our community is not what you saw or what you see when you go out to campaign in our community. Security is around, people are around to protect you, people are around to make sure that things are safe for you. That's the only breathing time that we can really actually say that we have a sane citizen community, tax-paying citizens have a decent place to stay, have a safe place to stay, is when you come around for election time, because we know at that particular time we will have the decent police officers in our community. We will have decent representation of clean streets in our community. However, I don't want this council to be elected, to be re-elected, and to go forward without remembering that these kids, these young kids in the community need jobs. We need jobs, we need better schooling, we need to put them to work, we need safety in our community. We need for you to pay attention to the job that you have been elected to do, which is serve the people. Don't forget about Ward F. It is embarrassing. It is totally embarrassing for me to see that the people of Ward F have to live in the condition that they do, and you call yourself serving the people. I am embarrassed. I'm truly embarrassed. And I hope that this stands for a change as we go forward into the 21st century. Call yourself men and women of dignity. Call yourself men and women of clarity, seeing that these people are at need. They need your support. We need your support. They are tax-paying citizens. They are people that deserve your respect. They deserve for you to recognize the need in that community to have programs for the kids, to have jobs for the adults, and have safety for people that are trying to run businesses there and raise their families there. This is your responsibility, to pay attention to the job in which you were hired to do. We respect you. We need you to come into these communities, not only just when election is going on, but come into these communities and see for yourself what I live with on a daily basis. See how these people have to survive, how we have to close our doors and watch how we walk around the corners because we don't know when guns are going to be fired. We don't know when fights are going to break out. We don't know who's coming through our windows because the streets are flooded with people that are out there hanging around our businesses, hanging around our stores, peddling drugs and all kinds of things on our streets that are illegal. There is no other place that I have been around locally and seen streets that are being operated like the streets of Ward F. Our shopping centers are flooded with drug activity and just dangerous people, recently let out of jail, that are allowed to just hang around. I spoke to a young man this morning to get off one of my neighbor's step. He moved from the step to standing right in front of another neighbor's bedroom window, rolling his reefer or whatever it is. And I yelled to him, I said, I don't think that these people would want you standing in front of their bedroom window. I mean, if I was in another neighborhood and I cried out to 5 or 6 different men that were standing in front of my door on my street corners and I'm afraid to go down there, police would be sent and things would get done. I respect your counsel, and I hope that this ongoing problem will be come to a head of solutions, that you pay attention to this particular ward. Thank you.
Stop making so much noise when you walk up to the podium. Are you making all that thunder?
With all due respect, I didn't hear my name, so I waited until I hear. Good evening. On the side, I would like to ask Mr. Southall a question pertaining to a street on Ward F when I finish this statement. I'd also like to give 5 seconds in remembrance to a fallen brother. We were the last 2 members of the Jersey City chapter, the Black United Front. His name is Kwame Dortry. We call him Robert Kwame Dortry. Thank you. It is said that insanity is doing the same thing the same way, over and over again, failing, but expect a different result. Over and over again, the mayor administration had failed the black men in my community. And so I've asked a simple question. I always do ask a simple question. First, for those who are working under the mayor, I do not expect you to condemn. And those who has to find a political home, I understand that. Those who are hustling under the mayors and do whatever else or profiting, I can understand that because we have to live. But for the masses of black men, the question is, what is the basis for supporting Mayor Haley? Simple question. You see, I've been asking this question time and time again, or posing this. The high unemployment in Ward F, or in the black community, among black men particularly, which I am a member of, is staggering. It took the mayor a long time to answer this question, but finally he did. And he said that in the next 2-3 years, 300 jobs are going to come in one way, and 200 jobs are going to come in another way. Well, why don't we just throw in another 200 jobs that spring off of those 500 jobs? So we're looking at approximately 700 jobs. There is, according to the numbers that I have, 1,300 black men from McAdoo to Community Poor out of work. So the 500 jobs that come in for the entire city is not going to make a dent for black men. You cannot continue year after year and ignoring this problem. You see, the unemployment among us is more devastating to the community than Hurricane Sandy. If you have a leaking roof and 1% of your roof is leaking, it damages. 10% of your roof, you're running for holes. 15% of your roof, things get worse. We have 42% unemployment in the black community among black men. You can't give me numbers that are any different. Last year in America, 8.3%. People under the age of between 29 and 18, 12.7%. But then we start to break that down into Latinos, it's 12.6%. Young black men, 20.7%. And that is nationwide. But there's certain pockets where that number goes up to 35%. But we don't count it that way because our black men dropped out of school at 14, 16. And so it is black men under the age of 30. I guarantee you 42% unemployed. You cannot have 42% unemployment in a capitalist society and do not expect violence. The great Shakespeare said, get money. He didn't say how to get it or where to get it. In a capitalist society, you have to get money. I know these brothers. I was surprised some of them came through my program. I see them daily. We talk to them, we plan. But no one wants to work with them. Yes, they are written off. It is a joke. The mayor doesn't have a plan, or nobody seems to have a plan. I've been asking that question for a long time. We cannot continue to go like this. Yes, there is violence, but according to the statistics, 70% of all the violent crime is based upon economics. If the brother can't get money, he just have to live. I get it. All right. And so I need to see some documents and some facts where we are actively going to assist these brothers. The campaign is just about to finish. Lastly, the mayor has said that they also say that be careful what you pray for, you might get. In his last campaign, that says when you see something, you say something or hear something. We look at him on TV, watching crime goes down and did nothing. We also see that his campaign manager went to jail for some crime. And so those of you who are supporting the mayor is telling us that the brothers who made mistakes can't get a job because they commit crime, but we're going to re-elect a man who committed crime over and over again. I have a serious problem with that. Something is wrong with that.
Thank you.
My time is up?
Sir.
I get kicked off again.
Margaret Douglas.
The brothers need to have a job. We need to talk.
Margaret Douglas.
I have known Steve Fulop for 10 plus years, and I've seen him go from a good, caring person who was working for the greater good of Jersey City to a person whose interest is in how he can win. It doesn't matter to him what he does or what others do for him, as long as he wins. As time went on, he became less interested in others and more interested in how to manipulate others for his own benefit. I have a serious fear and concern for where this character will lead our city should he become the mayor of Jersey City. I have a serious fear and concern for where our school district and unions will be heading should he become mayor of Jersey City. This is a politician like no other, one who has no concern for anyone or anything but his own political career. This is a character who is even willing to use our children to benefit his future political aspirations. My concern is Fulop is guilty of encouraging our school board members to violate their oath of office on his behalf. Fulop has been associated with colluding with school board members to reward his associates and donors with public contracts paid for with taxpayer money. Fulop is guilty of trying to convince us that he amassed $800,000 with $20 donations. Fulop is guilty of influencing every aspect of school board decisions, from who to replace resigned board members with to how to vote for a superintendent. Fulop is guilty of offering to get a job for a board member's son if she voted to hire Marshall Isles. Fulop is guilty of supporting privatization of our school district and SURF's turnaround plan, which includes the closing of schools. He is guilty of using stolen personal emails from JCEA union membership to promote his political career. With no regard or apology for using this stolen information, with no respect for the uninvited use of another person's personal data, Fulop is guilty of race-baiting members of the Black and Latino community with his racially charged ads and version of an event that occurred over 8 years ago. Just this morning, I was made aware of a police report filed regarding the use of fraudulent credit cards and of issues regarding voter fraud in the 2005 City Council election. Again, this is a character who is willing to do anything to win. And remember, Shelley Skinner was his campaign manager. But I was told by his supporter that I should disregard this information because he was not found guilty. However, Fulop took an incident from 8 years ago to attempt to racially divide the Latino community of Jersey City. This is a character whose strategy for success is to divide and conquer. Fulop is guilty of orchestrating a secret meeting to benefit Ward E with no regard for the other wards. He did not include you in that meeting, and he won't include you in the future plans of our city. Fulop is guilty of encouraging redevelopment, but only as it benefits him and his donors. Be careful what you wish for. I assure you his plans for redevelopment do not include the average Jersey City resident. When Fulop is finished redeveloping Jersey City, it will cost you downtown dollars to live anywhere in this city. He has no problem relocating the minority and poor whites of this city. You are not in his plan for Jersey City. Fulop is guilty of a lack of integrity and good judgment. He has a pattern of making decisions that benefit him only. This is a character that will say anything, and if you believe him, God help you. Don't trust Steve Fulop with your vote.
William Cortez, Charlie Torres. That's it for the speakers list, council members. We'll allude to petitions and communications, items 6A through 6T. We have officers' communications, 7A through H, report of directors, 8A through F. We're to the claims and addendum number 1. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez? Councilman Fulop?
I think he's absent, Robert, or he's left or something. He got up and walked out. I don't know where he went.
Councilman Fulop is absent. Councilwoman Coleman voted in the affirmative prior to leaving. Councilman Lavara?
With the exception of page 19, the payment to New Jersey City University, where I'm employed, I vote aye.
Councilwoman Richardson?
Aye.
Council President?
Aye.
Claims in addendum number 1 have been approved. We have noted your abstention on page 19, the payment to New Jersey City University, or I say New Jersey City University. Councilman Lavaro. Council members go ahead and Fulop absent. We're to A through I. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Council members go ahead and Fulop are absent. Councilwoman Coleman voted in the affirmative prior to leaving. Councilman Lavara?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson? Aye. Council President?
Aye.
We have a 7-0 vote for 10A through 10I. 10J through 10R. Councilman Sotolano?
Aye.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye.
Council members go ahead and Fulop are absent. Councilwoman Coleman voted in the affirmative prior to leaving. Councilman Lavara?
Aye.
Councilwoman Richardson?
Aye.
Council President?
Aye.
We have a 7-0 for J through R. The balance of business, S through Z5, we did V and Z6 earlier. They were 8-0 earlier. Councilman Sotolano?
Congratulations to Reverend Cynthia Jackson and Bishop Tommy Howell. I vote aye on all.
Councilman Donnelly?
Aye on all.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Aye and all.
Council members go ahead and Fulop are absent. Councilwoman Coleman voted in the affirmative prior to leaving. Councilman Lavaro?
Sorry, before 10Y, that's related to the questions that Esther Whitner raised, correct? So what is the impact of us approving this?
Well, we've introduced Councilman, we've introduced the ordinance, and if the council is not satisfied with what happens at the community meeting between now and the second reading of the ordinance, there'll be no movement on it. But this is a necessary first step. This first step isn't taken. There can be no application for the tax credits. But it'll all be in the council's hands in 3 weeks. If the council is unhappy with it, they defeat the second reading ordinance. or table it? Okay, Councilman?
Okay.
And the planning board can still knock it down next, on the 16th.
I vote aye.
Councilwoman Richardson?
Congratulations on the Grand Patriot Wars anniversary, 68th anniversary of Victory Day. Congratulations to Queen Esther, Order of the Eastern Stars, Prince Hall affiliation, to their 106th anniversary. Congratulations to Merceline Nestor again, to Reverend Cynthia D. Jackson, to Reverend Bishop, to honoring Bishop Tommy Howard Jr., and also to Abraham Lincoln's centennial celebration that was held this weekend. And aye on all.
Council President?
Aye on all. Motion.
We have a wait. We have a 7-0 vote for the approval of S through Z5, noting that V and Z6 were approved 8-0 earlier. Council members Gahan and Fulop absent at the time. We have a motion to adjourn by the Council President at 8:55. Who is seconding the motion? Councilwoman Lopez. By all council members in attendance.